when we packed up the home, we sold the car, sold and gave away most of our possessions, and it was very freeing to, you know, I don't know whether I'll ever have a car again, because you get used to not needing one, and we can go shopping with the bike when we, you know, if we ever stop and find a new home. I may never own a car again, which wouldn't be a bad thing for the planet, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure it's quite liberating, right? To get rid of the car and all of your possessions. Like
very, very liberating. I mean, I used to run cycle holidays, and they weren't long. They were like 2 or 3 days. We used to cycle coast to coast in the UK. And I've got less clothes with me to cycle around the world than I had for a 3-day cycle trip. Because you realise, you know, and I've got 2 pairs of shorts, and I know I really only need one. And I'm tempted to get rid of the second pair. And like, if you look at the blog, you'll think, does that poor woman have nothing to wear? Because I have the same Montreal top every photo. But that's all I need. You know, it's merino wool. If it does look a bit grubby, I wash it. It's dry overnight. Why do I need 2 of them? You know? So you just have one. It will eventually wear out. It is the second one down a size, which is rather nice. And the other one was full of holes. But yeah, you don't need much. You don't need much.
Yeah, it's always good, right? The clothes usually dry. If you put the wet clothes on, the wind dries them off when you're on the bike.
Yeah,
really quickly.
That's it. Yeah,
That's the best way to do it. Yeah, nice. So what would you say tour cycling has taught you about yourself in this trip? What have you learned about yourself so far?
I think for me, it's been quite shocking, really. I've realised I can be much more of a negative person than I thought I was. I'm no good in front of the camera. I thought I'd be great. And the first part of the trip, I let if I was tired, I got very ratty. And so I've realised being more aware of my negative parts of my personality, shall we say, lays them bare. And I would say I'm definitely not as ratty anymore.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
A lot more mellow.
Yeah, mellow. And I'm working on the negativity. You know, I always think I'm a real positive person and see the best in things. And there is a big part of me, but the negativity a little bit, you know, I'd say I talked about something, it was, well, that was great, and that's not the way I look at myself. So I'm trying to address that as well.
Yeah, and for me, I'm kind of disappointed that it hasn't changed me, because I expected like this would be a life-changing trip and I'd like turn into a different person. But like, it just seems to have made me more of who I am, like more of an environmentalist, more of an adventurer, you know, more friendly and compassionate, and just more, the environmental thing's big. It just made me even more aware of how fragile this planet is, and how we're really, really causing it big problems. And like, we've got to stop. And like, but it just, as I say, I expected it to make me somebody different, but it's just kind of enriched who I am, I think, already. So
it was pretty good to start with.
Yeah, but who knows? We're kind of early days, you know. It's still 10 months, so we've got, we've got years of it to come yet. So we could still change quite drastically, I'm sure. I always loved the outdoors, and in my teenage years, I was trying to do all the Save the Planet thing with Greenpeace, Friends of the Earth, and everything. And I come to realise that it might be beyond saving, which is a sad thing to say. So I got involved in sort of landscape design and planting trees and building parks and play areas for people to come and enjoy the outdoors. And I still try to minimize environmental impact and try and help the planet. But it's just, I don't know, it's just came from spending most of my youth outdoors, I think, and just loving the outdoor environment and being outside. So it's deeply rooted in me, I think. And it's just, as I say, it's a real eye-opener to be out there all day, every day in the environment, looking at the world and looking at the trash and the cars and thinking, yeah, man, this is so unsustainable. It's a long way from being the sustainable way of life. But what can we do? Just keep on living a righteous life and spreading the love, and try and do what you can do, not lose hope, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure the people you met along the way, I'm sure they've been inspired by what you're doing, right? I mean, you're kind of leading by example and
Yeah,
showing people that, hey, you can live like this and, you
yeah,
know, and ride
yeah,
your bike around the world, which
yeah,
is not
yeah,
an easy
exactly.
task to do,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I was going to say we're not spring chickens, you know. I mean, there's an awful lot of people who do cycle like this, a good 20, 30, even 40 years younger than us. And I know we had a conversation with a lady in a campsite in Spain, and they were English and they were touring in their van. And she was lovely, and she was chatting away, and she said to me, but of course I couldn't do it at my age. And then we realised she was only 10 months older than me, you know, and so you've got to open your eyes. You can do stuff, you know. Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, we just go a bit slower than the young folk and stop a bit more, and you know. But as long as we've got our health, that's all that matters. You know, we've not got a lot else, but rich in experience. But it's just our health is what we've got to hang on to.
Yeah.
But and the other thing about the cycling around the world, although we've not done it yet, you know, we're maybe, I don't know, a sixth of the way around at most. You kind of realize that even though it's a long way, it's one lump of rock, and everybody's living on it. And like, it seems like when you're in a country and you think about the other side of the world and getting a 24-hour plane journey, it seems like a mile away, but you know, a million miles away. But you cycle around a piece of rock, and it's like one piece of rock. Everybody's living on it. We've got to get on and help look after it, because no one's getting off. You know.
yeah, sure. So for somebody that's listening to this, that's thinking about maybe going on a similar type of trip, that's feeling nervous about it or apprehensive, what advice would you give to them?
I've really been thinking about that question, and I have loads of suggestions and tips for them. But I think the key thing is they've got to remember it's their trip. So it's all very well me saying, don't take too many clothes, or do this, plan this. It's got to what works for them. So, but for me, my advice, what I needed was I needed to make sure we had bikes that worked, that we understood how to mend the bikes. We didn't overload ourselves with unnecessary kit. We did an element of research of the countries we were going to, so we understood about the cultures. So you're not in Spain at 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon and expecting to buy food because everywhere's shut. You know, just a little bit of research about where you're going. Don't overburden yourself with crazy distances, and be open to new experiences. Join like on Facebook, there's some wonderful supportive groups on there, so there's endless advice and help from people. There's a wonderful community called Warm Showers, which is a worldwide network of people who tour or who will put other tourers up, or people who don't tour but just want to help out and learn about you, and then you can learn from them. So join groups like that, and but just relax and be open, and don't. And we set off from virtually doing no touring. I mean, we had really no experience. We did one long tour in the UK, supported. We did a couple of shorter ones unsupported, and then we just set off around the world. And you can do it. I think that's have belief in yourself and the desire to do it. Ride with somebody you get on with, or go by yourself. Don't be frightened of that. But it is lovely to be able to share it. You know, a view, an experience is 10 times better from our point of view if we can share it together and be there on our own. So it's lovely to be able to share it. That's nice.
And I'll just say all of that, and then don't put it off. Just do it, because time ticks away, and who knows what's around the corner. So just, if you want to do it, do it. It's better to regret something you have done than something you haven't done. And time moves so fast, you've just got to do it. You know, it's like we thought when we set off, you know, we might be away for 5 years. Like, I'm 51. Like, I could, you know, should be working for another 10, 15 years, and we'll come back and we'll just have a bag full of memories, and we'll have to start again with work and jobs. But it's what's more important, you know, what's more important. So it doesn't stop you when you're 21 going around the world, or 18. So why should it stop us when we're in our 50s, you know? Just do it.
Yeah, there's always a reason not to, but and it's easy for us to say, just do it. But, you know, we had commitments, we had family. But then, you know, Tom's got elderly parents. I've got my mum. You know, my mum's 87. And I've got family. And that you do make sacrifices, and you've got to be prepared to make sacrifices. You know, so I know I'm missing a big chunk, possibly the remaining years of their lives, and I'm missing a big chunk of my family's lives. But we're enriched as well. We're enriched so much, and we keep, you know, modern technology is such that, you know, we've had a good face-to-face talk with Tom's parents this morning. We didn't live in the same town, so it's not that much difference. We just have to be on a different continent. And it's the same with my mum. You know, we can keep in touch, and I've, you know, yeah. So make sure you do make time to keep in touch with family and friends. That's good as well. Yeah.
And what would your definition be of a global citizen, since this is the Intrepid Global Citizen Podcast?
Yeah.
I think I'll let you go with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd just say, I guess, somebody that treats everybody the same, no matter where they're from, what their background is, what their aspirations are, what they do. You know, it's like I was saying about the one rock. It's one planet, like it's just one piece of rock. These boundaries of countries and things we put in place, it's kind of just an artificial thing. It's like we all live on this planet. Let's try and get on, you know? So somebody that just tries to embody that philosophy, I guess.
Yeah, and not have less fear. There's so much fear in the world. Yeah. And, you know, every state we go to, they're negative about the next state or the next country. And, you know, they're stunned when, you know, I say to one person, well, actually the cycling in your country, America, is good. And they're surprised about that. Just be more accepting and more open. And you'll be treated better for that. Yeah, I think. And we could all work together a lot better. Now, you just think what the world would be like if we didn't have to have a police force or an army. I mean, we left the UK the day Russia invaded Ukraine, and so that is a constant thing on our minds, how kind of self-indulgent we feel doing this. But in one sense, you know, the world doesn't stop for various things happening, and hopefully if we could all just get to know each other better, then we would be less fearful and less inclined to want what the other person's got.
Yeah. And it's like the kindness that you see cycle touring, like it's phenomenal. And I still haven't got my head around how it's so different to normal life, you know, like when people are in the cars and in the jobs and it's different. But when you kind of cycle touring and you meet people and they share what they have with you, and it's like, that's how the world should be. And I can't quite figure yet in my head how it gets so different in what normal life is to the human companionship and sharing that cycle touring brings. So it's, you know, but we've got 4 years to think about that.